Hey everybody, John here. This is the Blue Water Outlook Weekly Weather Briefing ending spring, May 30th. As we start June, that'll be the start of meteorological summer. Now, with that, I'm going to be talking a lot about an omega block, a dome of high pressure influencing our nation's weather. I gave a little bit of a heads up on that on my post that went out on Thursday. So let's get started talking about that and more in today's briefing. Okay, so what threats here? I'd like to start out by just sort of reviewing any threats and some severe storms this weekend over the plains, a slight risk. And take a look at that heat building over the north central U.S., and that's going to be a theme of this week and next week. Now, we had a scattering of severe storms last week. It was very unorganized compared to previous weeks. Now, we did have some clusters of strong damaging winds. That's the yellow in the mid-Atlantic and parts of the southeast. Everywhere else just sort of scattered severe weather, not nearly as widespread or organized as earlier in the spring. Now let's first start by looking at our last 30-day percent of normal rainfall. And this shows two strong anomalies. One is the unusually dry conditions in the west. And keep that in mind because when I get a little bit later here, I'm going to be talking about this really hot weather. So that's going to be very critical, starting dry and then this heat that's building. Parts of the plains also quite dry. And then the southeast U.S. has been really wet. And we had some needed rain right in along the Florida Georgia border right here. Matter of fact, you can see that right here. This area is in such an extreme drought, and there was some needed rain in this area right here. So last week, southeast U.S. by far got the most rain. Scattered areas elsewhere also got some rain. Okay, now as far as temperatures go, hey, look at this. This morning, we have some near record cool temperatures in the northeast U.S., so I'm talking all about this heat, but if you're in the northeast U.S., you're experiencing a pretty chilly morning. Now, overall, this is the weekly departure from normal, and look at the north central U.S., 5 to 10 degrees above normal. Warmest temperatures of the week, 90s anywhere in this shade of brown, 95 in these darker shades right in here. Take a look at Florida, pretty good area of 95 degrees around Fort Myers region. Okay, now, in addition to the heat, we also have some humidity, some higher dew points, and that's a sign of summer. They will start to linger. So with our hot weather and our dew points mid-60s to mid-70s, we're looking at some heat index readings that are quite high as well. Now, many rivers are quite low. We do have a few that are high, mid-Atlantic region, parts of the tributaries going into the Ohio and along the Florida coast. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to be talking about this omega high, shaped like a Greek letter omega. If you're under that high pressure dome, it's going to block weather systems. It's going to be a dry, warm, stable pattern. And I can go out 10 days from now, and you can still see that ridge of high pressure that is still sort of sitting right in this area right here. So we're going to be looking at a pattern of, like I said, drier, very warm to hot conditions, stable, stagnant weather ahead. This is sort of reminiscent of sometimes midsummer. So take a look at the departures of temperature. And as initially, we start off with some cooler weather in the east, and here's our core of warm weather right here. And as we go through the next 5 days into the next 10 days, it builds as we get into the middle part of June into the western U.S. Now, like I said, with that humidity or those dew points quite high in the south central U.S., we're going to have a moderate or higher heat index over the weekend in those regions. Dallas and Houston, pretty oppressive. So that's temperature, definitely above normal anomalies in many areas. What about rain? Pretty quiet overall. Parts of Montana, some heavy rain. Everywhere else really scattered, just hit or miss summertime rain. Might affect some tributaries or smaller rivers, but overall pretty quiet. Now, how long will this last? Well, here's week 2. Take a look at this. It's still really That heat dome's right over the north central U.S., the northern Rockies, and here's our precipitation. Just nothing all that exceptional one way or the other. Maybe some signs of a monsoonal flow in the southwest. So in summary, it looks like an omega block, sort of going to be keeping conditions quite quiet. It's going to dampen down most storms, most severe weather, and it's going to result in a heat dome, and it's going to raise our temperature departures in many parts of the nation as we start the summer. That's this week's briefing. Take care.